Ever get the feeling like, there's more to the story, than just those crazy headlines trying to grab your attention?
Oh, absolutely.
Today, we're going deep on the MrBeast lawsuit.
Yeah.
And no, this isn't just about, like, YouTube drama and all that. It's about, well, it makes you think about the lines we all walk online, the price of fame and all that, and that responsibility that comes with, having a huge platform.
It's a fascinating case study, really. MrBeast, I mean, for anyone who hasn't seen his stuff, he's practically a household name. Even my niece, watches his videos constantly. Hundreds of millions of subscribers.
So it's wild.
Elaborate stunts, giving away crazy amounts of money.
Right. And he's built this whole empire, this image of being generous and positive,
Yeah.
But now, former contestants from his show, Beast Games, they're claiming things behind the scenes not so rosy.
Yeah. And that's where things get really interesting. This lawsuit, it's not just, legal definitions and negligence, breach of contract, all that.
Right.
It forces us to ask some, well, kind of uncomfortable questions about entertainment and ambition and the cost, maybe even human cost, of trying to go viral.
Okay, so let's break it down. We went through the legal documents, news coverage, all that, and some of these accusations, they're concerning. Contestants claiming they were, pressured into these grueling challenges.
Wow.
Some even said they were denied food and medication.
Seriously.
For, a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
20 hours without food, that's
intense.
intense.
It makes you think about the power dynamics. When you have someone as influential as MrBeast offering these life-changing opportunities, how much pressure is there to push yourself? Where's the line between a challenge and, actual risk?
And it's even more complicated when you think about the whole, philanthropic side of his brand. He's all about giving back, so it's easy to assume good intentions, right?
Right.
But these allegations, they make you wonder, can good deeds ever justify actions that might actually be harmful?
Exactly. And it's not even the first time MrBeast's judgment has been, questioned. Remember the whole situation with Chris, his best friend?
Right. The very public falling out after Chris's transition.
It started as this message of support and acceptance, which obviously resonated with a lot of people. But then you had the allegations against Chris, and suddenly MrBeast's caught in the middle.
It was a stark reminder that online persona, it's not always the full picture, is it?
Not at all.
And it makes you think, how much responsibility does someone like MrBeast have for what people in his circle do? Especially when, being associated with him is so tied to his brand. It's like we create these stories in our heads about people, right?
Yep.
Especially online. We want to believe in the image they put out there.
Yeah, and we forget there's always more than one side to every story. We can't just rely on, what we see on the surface. Makes you think about the whole media literacy thing.
Media literacy. Okay, gotta be honest, for someone who's online constantly, not sure I totally get it.
It's something we should all, think about more.
Yeah.
Especially now with, everything going viral, influencer culture, all that. Basically, it's about being a more critical consumer of information. Don't just accept everything you see at face value,
Okay, so how do we actually do that? So we need to approach everything online with, skepticism.
Not necessarily skepticism, but definitely be curious. Dig a little deeper. Look for evidence. Think about the source.
So, don't just read a headline and assume that's the whole story.
Exactly. Think about who's giving you the information and why. Are they trying to, inform you, persuade you, or just entertain you? And even with sources you trust, there's always a perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes I catch myself, looking for information that already matches what I believe.
Oh, totally. It's confirmation bias. Totally natural. We all do it. We
Yeah.
look for stuff that confirms our existing views, and then we avoid anything that challenges them.
So how do we break out of that?
You have to actively look for different perspectives. If you find yourself agreeing with something right away, try and find the opposite argument. Look for information from sources you wouldn't normally. It's all about challenging your own assumptions.
I mean, that's easier said than done, right?
It takes effort, for sure. But the more you use that critical thinking, the better you'll be at navigating online. And honestly, offline too, right? This stuff affects everything.
True. Makes you think about this whole MrBeast thing differently. If we look at it through this lens of media literacy, it's not just about who's right and who's wrong.
Exactly. It's about seeing the nuances, understanding the different sides, and then, forming your own informed opinion.
So we've talked about media literacy and all that. recognizing our own biases. But how do we actually, take action? What can we do as just people on the internet when we see something sketchy, even if it's not like a big lawsuit or
I
whatever?
love that question
Yeah.
because it gets to this bigger idea of accountability online. It's easy to feel like, my likes or comments, they don't really matter. But they do. Every click, every share, it all contributes. It shapes what we see online.
So basically, being more careful about what we support.
Totally. Think of it like each click is a vote. You support content that matches your values. That's what you're voting for. Accuracy, fairness, all that.
Mm.
You're saying, hey, I want more of this.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about when you see something that's just like wrong, misleading? Should we be calling that out?
That's where it gets, tricky. The internet can be kind of a minefield, right?
Hmm.
Easy to get caught in arguments. Sometimes the best thing, honestly, just disengage. Don't amplify it.
So no more angry tweets.
Not always, huh? Look, there's a time and a place for criticism, for calling people out. But you got to be thoughtful, respectful. There's a human on the other side of the screen.
It's about finding that balance, right? Speaking your mind, but not like making the internet a worse place.
Exactly. And sometimes the most powerful thing, starting a conversation.
Mm.
Talk to your friends, your family about this stuff. The more we talk about it, the more likely things will change.
So really, it all goes back to personal responsibility. We have more power than we realize.
100%.
Yeah.
It's not about having all the answers or being some kind of online superhero. Just take it slow. Ask questions. Be open to having those conversations.
This whole deep dive into MrBeast, it really shows how complicated all this is.
Mm.
Online fame, media literacy, our own role in all of this.
It reminds us the internet's like a reflection,
Mm.
but it also magnifies everything. It shows us our values, our biases, but then it makes them bigger.
So as we wrap things up here, it leaves you thinking, what kind of online world do we actually want? And what are we doing to, make that happen?
Keep asking those questions. Keep learning. Keep thinking critically about the world, online and off. That's how we handle all this crazy digital stuff.
And that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into, well, whatever's got us thinking.